Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Animefied. Today let's look at an anime called hunterxhunter. So, let's begin. Mito is sorting fish when other people start talking about Gon. Her 12-year-old nephew. Gon is trying to catch the monstrous master of the swamp, a feat done 20 years ago by Mito's cousin and Gon's father Jing. It is a seemingly impossible condition set by Mito, for she is reluctant to allow Gon to take the hunter exam. Gon catches the fish and brings it to the harbor, to the amazement of the townspeople and to the dismay of Mito. The night before Gon sets out, Mito tries to convince Gon not to pursue the exam and become like his father. Gon replies by saying he wants to know why his father prefers to be a hunter so much that he left his own son in other people's care. The next morning, Mito and her grandmother bid Gon goodbye. After he shouts that he will be the best hunter, Gon is mocked by the ship passengers, who are also going to the hunter exam site. He observes the applicants on board. Then he notices and helps Katsu, a crew member being bullied by his mates. Gon then tells the captain that a storm is coming. When the captain asks how he knows, he says that the seabirds flying above them are warning each other of a huge storm. Gon confirms it by using his sense of smell. The captain is suddenly reminded of someone. While the storm rages, nearly every exam applicant on the ship is seasick, except for Gon, Kurapika and Lirio. The captain summons them and asks for their reasons for taking the hunter exam. Gon quickly answers that he wants to know why his father chose to be a hunter. Lirio and Kurapika refuse to reveal theirs. The captain promptly tells them that he is hired to trim down the number of hunter exam participants before they reach the exam site. Thus, he can pass or fail them depending on the response. Kurapika reveals that he wants to be a blacklist hunter to catch the phantom troop who annihilated his clan, the Kurta. Lirio wonders why Kurapika has to take the exam merely for revenge, to which Kurapika replies that a licensed hunter has unprecedented access to information and places, as well as the freedom to actions that are otherwise forbidden. Lirio then states that he wants money and the comfort and luxury it brings, like huge fortune and free use of public amenities. Kurapika comments upon his statement and Lirio is raged by Kurapika not properly addressing him, as Lirio since several times already. He insults Kurapika's clan as disrespectful. This sparks animosity between the two and they go out to the deck to duel. Meanwhile, the crew members try to stabilize the ship when Katsu is tossed and is about to fall from the ship. In reaction, Lirio and Kurapika witness horror. Suddenly, Gon jumps out of the ship to catch Katsu, and the other two promptly catch Gon's legs. The captain is impressed with them and he promises to bring them to the port nearest to the exam site. Upon reaching Doll Harbor, the captain tells Gon that going to the cedar tree at the top of the hill behind the city will lead them to the exam site. Gon relays the information to Kurapika and Lirio and they consult the map. They learn that the cedar tree is the opposite direction of Zebin City, the hunter exam site. Lirio says that there is a bus that directly goes to the city. Gon chooses to go towards the direction of the tree. Lirio bids goodbye as well and walks towards the bus stop, when he overhears two senior applicants talking about the bus ride is merely a trap for new applicants. Lirio joins the other two, and they reach a small deserted town. Lirio comments that there is nobody around there, but Gon plainly states that there are plenty of them. A group of masked people appear and block the way with a stage where an old woman sits. She tells them that they have to undergo the quiz in order to reach the cedar tree. She posts a riddle requiring them to choose between two possible answers and respond to the answer within 5 seconds. The three are taken aback by the question, for it is something that has no correct answer. Unfortunately, refusing to partake in the quiz will disqualify them from taking the exam. A scheming participant who overheard the conversation between the captain and Gon followed the three and goes ahead to answer. The masked people let him by as he continues up the road. The old woman then poses a similar question to the three, angering Lirio even more when the time is up and no one is given an answer. Lirio angrily grabs a wooden stick to hit the woman but is stopped by Kurapika. Kurapika tells Lirio to calm down, for he will waste the correct answer, which is silence. A door to a tunnel opens and they are instructed to meet the navigators living in a house by the cedar tree. Upon reaching the cedar tree, they find the navigators, a couple being attacked by a shape-shifting creature, the Kuriko. While Lirio tends to the wounded man, Gon and Kurapika go after the Kuriko, who kidnaps the woman. They are able to keep up with the Kuriko and Gon hits it with his fishing rod. The Kuriko drops the woman and is saved by Kurapika, but he notices a tattoo on her arm and becomes wary of her real identity. Lirio comes stating that he has given the wounded man painkillers. Kurapika then attack it. The fake Lirio turns out to be another Kuriko in disguise and asks how Kurapika knew. Kurapika states that even if he was Lirio, he would have still hit him for leaving a wounded person alone. The Kuriko leaves and Kurapika asks the woman who she really is. Meanwhile, Gon loses sight of the Kuriko momentarily, then appears, and he follows it. He loses sight of it again, Then the Kuriko jumps from a tree and corners Gon. Gon is about to be hit when he flatly says that the Kuriko is not the one he is pursuing. The Kuriko laugh hysterically and calls out its partner. The three applicants reunite and the couple reveals themselves to the offspring of the two Kurikos. They pass the three due to their unique characteristics and fly them to the exam site. Gon, Lirio and Kurapika arrive at Sabin City and Gon is fascinated by the bustling selling and trading businesses there. They stopped for a high-rise building wondering whether it's the examination site. The navigator leads them to a small restaurant beside it instead. The navigator orders something from the chef, who tells them to go from the back room. The order turns out to be the password to the back room, which is actually an elevator that goes 100 floors underground to the tunnel, where applicants wait. When they reach the tunnel, they are given identification numbers. Later, they are befriended by Tanpa, also known as the Rookie Crusher. He tells them about the other applicants. The most notable is Hisoka, who merely killed an examiner from last year's examination. An applicant bumps into Hisoka without apologizing, and Hisoka does something that makes the applicant's arms disappear. Tanpa then offers the three juice with laxatives. Gon and Lirio quickly detect that there is something wrong with the juice, saying that it might be expired already. Another rookie applicant, Killua, approaches Tanpa and asks for another can of juice. He drinks it and then tells Tanpa that poison does not affect him. Sadats, the first examiner, introduces himself and tells the participants to follow him through the tunnel as part of the first exam phase. The applicants have run continuously for 2 hours, a distance of over 30 kilometers from where they came from. Lirio starts to get exhausted and he becomes irritated when he sees an applicant using his skateboard. He sees it as a mockery of the hunter exam, but Gon defends the applicant, saying that the examiner just told him to follow him without forbidding them to use whatever means. The applicant takes an interest in Gon and asks for Gon's age. Upon learning that they are of the same age, he jumps from and catches the skateboard with a maneuver, starts running alongside Gon and introduces himself as Killua. Lirio, completely exhausted and covered in sweat, was on the verge of surrendering, and the rarity of rookies passing the exam was all the more affecting his enthusiasm. The urge to give up was approaching him until he looked at Gon, who had decided to wait till Lirio wills to move forward. Killua is waiting for Gon and tells him to forget Lirio and just continue. But Gon does not even move an inch. To Killua's surprise, Lirio gains the motivation to catch up with the rest of the applicants and starts running even ahead of Gon and Killua. Sadat starts increasing his pace when they reach 80 kilometers marked by a long, wide staircase. Lirio now catches up with Kurapika, who asks him if he is alright. Kurapika then asks Lirio if he really is after money, because he doesn't see Lirio as such a shallow person. Eliciting no answer, Kurapika shares with Lirio about the scarlet eyes of the Kurta clan as the reason for his clan's demise. His clan possess one of the 7 most beautiful colors in the world and prized by people as rare. Wealthy people, as well as thieves like the Phantom Troop, want to get their hands on the remaining pairs. Kurapika plans to become a blacklist hunter and be hired by wealthy families to get access to the black market and be able to collect his clan's eyes and also avenge them from the Phantom Troop. Kurapika asks Lirio about his reason to be a hunter, but he says that he really is after the money. Lirio snaps back that his friend would not have died if he had money, then becomes embarrassed by the revelation and turns away. He wants to be a doctor to treat poor children for free, but realizes that he has to gain much more money to be able to study. Gon and Killua also share their reasons for taking the hunter exam. Killua joined for fun, thinking that the exam is challenging enough. Gon wants to be a hunter like his father. They agree to have a race to the exit, and the one to win will pay for dinner. They arrive at the exit ahead of Sadats. Other applicants come and Sadats introduce them to the location as the Numer Wetlands, also known as the Swindler Swamp. He had just warned them about the creature's creative means to fool their victims when a man shows up and drives with him an unconscious ape with a face like Sadats. He claims to be the examiner and accuses Sadats of being a masquerading man-faced ape. The applicants become confused, especially Lirio and Hanzo Ninja. Hisoka then attacks the 2 examiners by throwing his blade-sharp cards. The man with the ape is killed and is eaten by scavenger birds. However, Sadats catches the cards with his bare hands, proving himself to be the real examiner, and warns Hisoka not to attack him again unless he wants to be disqualified. He then tells the applicants to follow him into the swamp. As the applicants run through the Numer Wetlands, Killua urges Gon for them to run ahead. Gon agrees, so they can follow the examiner closely. Kowa is more concerned with distancing themselves from Hisoka, for he senses his bloodlust, saying that he can smell it in the air. Kurapika and Lirio witnessed many of the applicants ambushed by several of the creatures. Gon and Killua are captured by a large frog that was waiting, stays underground and swallows anyone who steps on it, as it sits with its mouth open. The frog then spits them out. After Killua spills inside the frog the spiked drinks Tanpa gave them, Kurapika and Lirio have lost sight of the front runners. They run into some applicants surrounding Hisoka, telling him to discontinue taking the exam for he is too dangerous to become one. Hisoka promptly finishes nearly all of them with the circular sweep of his cards. He hurls killer cards onto the leader and turns his attention to Kurapika and Lirio. Meanwhile, Gon notices that the two are still nowhere near, and leaves Killua to search for them. Kurapika and Lirio choose to escape by running in opposite directions. Lirio later turns back to face Hisoka, for he cannot stand to run away after witnessing such cruelty. Lirio attacks him, but Hisoka disappears in a whiff of smoke. Hisoka is about to reach Lirio when he is hit by Gon's fishing rod. As Hisoka walks towards Gon, Lirio tries to attack him but is knocked unconscious with an uppercut. Gon defends himself while maintaining distance. He cannot attack Hisoka head-on, so he uses a trick to distract him. Unfortunately, it is Hisoka who surprises him by reaching him from the back. Hisoka holds him up by the neck and enjoys Gon's painful face. He lets go when Gohan nearly passes out. Hisoka tells him not to fear, as he will not kill his friend, and incites that both Gon and Lirio are worthy of continuing the examination, and offers to bring the unconscious Lirio to the next examination site. After receiving a call from somebody, Hisoka leaves carrying Lirio on his shoulder and Kurapika approaches Gon. Gon and Kurapika follow Lirio's scent to reach the next site. Gon admits to Kurapika that it is his first time feeling such fear, but it has made him also excited. Meanwhile, there are only 148 applicants left. Gon and Kurapika reach the gate to the next exam site and search for Lirio. Gon feels chills, then sees Hisoka pointing to Lirio sitting under a tree. Lirio was dazed and he cannot remember the encounter with Hisoka and how he got hit in the face. Gon and Kurapika opt not to tell him what really happened. Sadetsu bids goodbye and the gate opens to reveal a mansion with a sprawling garden that is set up for cooking. Menchi and Buhara introduce themselves as gourmet hunters and examiners. Menchi states the second phase involves cooking, making the applicants laugh, and roasting both the examiner's profession and the test that's given. After they all fail to pass the test, Sadetsu contacts the committee about the situation. An airship hovers above the site as an elderly man jumps from it, landing on 2 feet. Creating crater, Menchi acknowledges him as Chairman Otero. The chairman proposes that Menchi thinks of another task and she has to show them how to do it. Menchi requests the chairman to bring them all to Split Mountain, where spider eagle eggs are located. The retest involves getting the so-called dream eggs, dangling on webs at the ravine. Menchi even demonstrates how to procure the eggs by jumping onto the ravine and dangling on the webs, getting the eggs without falling, and timing the jump so she would be carried up by an updraft. The applicants who are not fazed by the task jump to get the eggs, failing to realize that they should have waited for the updraft. The other applicants rely on Gon's senses, who signals when to release their grips from the webs. They cook the eggs and find them delicious. Only 42 applicants remain. The examinees and examiners board the airship and Chairman Otero formally introduced to the examinees. Beans, the chairman's secretary, announces that the airship will arrive at the site of the third phase. At 8 in the morning, Gon and Killua eventually settle in to talk about their families. Gohan wonders about Killua's parents and their occupation, to which Killua casually replies that they are probably alive and they are assassins. He had to attack his mother and brother in order to leave their home and find his own future. He even says sarcastically that he will capture his own family for a bounty when he becomes a hunter. Chairman Otero sees them and plays a trick by making them feel someone else is watching them from the other side of the corridor, and then appearing from the opposite direction. The chairman then challenges them to a game that involves getting a ball from him, telling them that they will automatically become hunters if they succeed. Killua even uses an assassination attack, Rhythm Echo, to confuse him with images. Killua also hits the old man's leg, but it is he who feels the pain. Gon also tries to catch the ball, and even teams up with Killua. Gon and Killua are not able to get the ball from the chairman. Killua is secretly pissed off and decides to quit. Gon is adamant and vows to make the old man use his right arm. Killua then bumps into 2 of the examinees along the corridor, and they confront him for not apologizing. Killua kills them in an instant and mumbles that he might have killed the chairman to get the ball had he not left sooner. Meanwhile, Gon is able to make the chairman use his other arm to Otero's amusement. The airship lands at Trick Tower, a prison wherein long-term criminals are kept. Beans say that the aim of the third phase of the 287 Hunter exam is to safely arrive at the bottom of Trick Tower. One of the examinees tries to climb down, but is eaten by 6-legged flying beasts. Gon finds out that the way is to flip one of the many large stone tiles. They all pick a tile and enter the tower. All of them end up in the same room. They see 5 watches in the room with 2 buttons on each of them. The prison warden Lipo says they need a 5th person to advance further into the tower. That is because the route they have chosen is majority rules, where they have to vote to do certain things in the tower when given 2 choices. The choice that gets the most votes wins. He is also seen telling the prisoners to go to their positions, because the test is about to begin. begin. 2 hours later, the final person joins their group and he turns out to be Tanpa. A door appears, and they have to vote on whether to open it or not. Everybody votes to open it, except Tanpa. The team advances and finds themselves in a large room, the platform in the middle. On the other side, there are 5 prisoners. Gon and the rest must be at least 3 of them in a challenge to advance in the tower. Lippo explains that there can be no draws and that the prisoners get a year off their sentence for every hour they delay the examinees. The first prisoner is Ben Dot, who has been sentenced for 199 years for robbery and murder. Tanpa volunteers to go first. Tanpa immediately gives up and then informs the team that he doesn't want to become a hunter, but only wants to screw people over. The story continues with the Gon facing Sedekin, who proposes a match to see whose candle burns the longest. Gon chooses the longer candle, unaware that it is oil-soaked, and his candle starts to burn faster midway. Sedekin's candle is not susceptible to strong winds. He puts it down and sprints towards Sedekin to blow his candle out. The next match is between Kurapika and Majitani, who propose a death match without weapons and with the condition that one must die or surrender to finish the match. Majitani, who relies on scaring and intimidating his enemies to make them surrender, boasts about how many people he's killed and even keeps multiple heart tattoos, numbering them. Kurapika notices a spider tattoo on Majitani's back and his eyes become scarlet. He easily defeats him with a devastating punch, knocking him out, but not killing him. Kurapika tells Majitani to remember 3 things. 1. A genuine Phantom Troop tattoo is the member's number inscribed on the spider tattoo's back. 2. They have murdered so many people that it would be impossible to count. 3. Do not ever mention the Phantom Troop again or he will kill him. The group becomes frightened by Kurapika's outburst, and the others try to figure out if Kurapika has a thing with spiders. He sits in the corner alone while the prisoners think of their next strategy. Elsewhere, Hisoka enters a room where a former examiner of the hunter exam named Tagari has been waiting for him. He wants revenge for Hisoka scarring his face in last year's exam. Hisoka calmly calls him an incompetent examiner and tells him that his own inadequacies are to blame for his scars, not him. Tagari proceeds to demonstrate his infinite quad-wielding curved knife skills, showing it partially before he starts attacking Hisoka. Hisoka, however, easily dodges the knives, getting only slightly wounded. Tagari tells him that he has nowhere to run and will be cut until he dies. Hisoka quickly learns the pattern in his attack and gracefully catches 2 of the blades before they hit him. He admits it would be impossible to stop Tagari's attack and that the only way to do so is to grab his blades. It took Tagari half a year to learn how to catch and throw those blades. Hisoka tells him that catching the blades was easier than he would have thought and that he appreciates his futile efforts. He quickly dispatches Tagari by decapitating him with his own blades. Hisoka then moves on to become the first to pass the 3rd phase of the hunter exam, taking 6 hours and 17 minutes. Meanwhile, a prisoner named Larout bets against Lirio whether Majitani is alive or dead, using her time as credits. She proposes to use their remaining 50 hours each and continue until one party has no more time credits to bet. As a consequence, if Lirio loses, his team has lesser hours to escape the tower, but if Larout loses, the time will be added to her sentence. Lirio agrees to the match and bets 10 hours that Majitani is alive. He and Larout check the prisoner and confirm that he's not dead yet. Fast forward, Larout successfully wins the next 3 bets, reducing 50 hours from the examines, a lot of time to escape Trick Tower. Her sentence is also reduced by 50 years. The last match will be Jonas versus Killua. As Lippo starts to remove Jonas's handcuffs, the other prisoner starts to take a step back to avoid him. Jonas removes his face cover, much to Lirio's alarm, when he recognizes him, and he strongly advises Killua to back down. However, Killua ignores him and both of them enter the platform. Killua then asks how should they settle this match, which Jonas replies that he does not care about the exam and that he just wants to kill him. Killua innocently answers that the one who loses will die. Before Jonas can even make a move, Killua has already ripped his heart out in an instant, shocking everyone. Jonas pleads with him to give his heart back, but in a matter of seconds he's dead. A small path suddenly appears which leads them to a small room that they must wait in for 50 hours. Meanwhile, Gitaraker is seen at the finish line and is followed by Hanzo, thus making Gitaraker to be the second to finish and Hands of the third. Goretta manages to make it to the bottom of the Trick Tower before the time runs out, and thus becomes the 4th person to finish the 3rd phase. With 40 hours left in the room, Gon and Killua keep themselves entertained by doing many things. Time continues to run until there is only 1 minute left, as all stand in front of the door waiting impatiently. Finally, the long-awaited minute passes and the door opens automatically. Gon rushes out before anyone else makes a move. They begin their journey to the bottom of the tower by getting through various hurdles. After many obstacles, their time is 1 hour, and they all arrive in a small room with 2 doors. The first door has an X mark on it, while the second door has an O mark. They encounter a very difficult choice. The first is to choose the door with O mark that allows 5 to pass, but is long and difficult, which requires a minimum of 4 to 5 hours, while the second is to choose the door with the X mark. That is short and easy, which requires only 3 minutes, but only allows 3 to pass. Tampo, who is becoming impatient, grabs an axe and attacks Lirio. They begin fighting, while Kurapika and Gon convince them to stop. Suddenly Gon gets a bright idea by watching Tampa break the wall with his axe. They all press O, and when they are inside, they break the wall that separates both paths using the axe. With the time almost nearing, Gon, Killua and Kurapika arrive first, followed by Lirio and Tampa behind them. With that, they all pass the third phase of the Hunter exam. 24 candidates have completed Trick Tower and passed the Hunter exam's third phase. Lippo congratulates them on escaping Trick Tower. He tells them that only the fourth and final phase remains, and the fourth phase will take place on Zevel Island. The Trick Tower's third examiner comes with a wheel table with a box on it. He then tells them that they need to draw a lot. The examinees act surprised, and Lippo tells them that it is to determine who will hunt and whom. There are 24 cards with ID numbers on them, and they will draw in the order they exited the tower. Hisoka is the first to draw the number 384. Kurapika draws number 16, after Killua draws number 199. Gon is next and he draws the number 44. Lirio is last and draws with style number 246, and Tampa draws number 403. Lippo informs them to remove the seal on their cards and reveal the number on it. He explains that the number revealed is their target. Many candidates immediately cover their badges. Gon is shocked to have drawn Hisoka's number. Lippo tells the candidates that the box is recorded which card was drawn by who. The examinees are allowed to use any method they choose to steal badges, which includes killing their target. Lippo explains the rules further. Their badge is worth 3 points. Their own is also worth 3 points if kept in their own possession, and all other badges are worth 1 point. They will need 6 points in total to advance to the final phase. A small steamboat heads Zevel Island as their new guide Kara commends them for their excellent work during the third phase, and introduces herself, telling them it will take 2 hours for the boat to reach the Zevel Island. Kara tells them they are free to do what they want for the next 2 hours, and to enjoy the boat ride. Lirio asked if he is Kurapika's target and if he would show him any mercy. Kurapika answers that he is not his target and he should not worry. He walks away and Lirio angrily shouts that he is not his target either. Killua approaches Gon and asks what number he drew. Gon asks Killua, but he says it's a secret. They laugh and Killua assures him that he is not his target. Gon says the same. Killua immediately realizes that number 44 belongs to Hisoka and tells Gon he has bad luck. Gon asks who has the number 199. Killua doesn't know either, and he didn't bother to memorize everyone's number, thinking the game is lame. The boat arrives at Zevel Island and Kara thanks them for their patience. Kara explains that they will be on Zevel Island for a week, and they must amass 6 points before returning to the landing site. She calls from the first person Hisoka. Kurapika comments that those who disembark earlier hold the advantage. Gitaraker then exits the ship, frightening Kara with the way he looks. Killua decides to scout the area first. Kara calls out Gon, telling Lirio that he will see him later. He then runs off the boat and onto the island, thinking that first, he must find Hisoka's location. After everyone is out of the ship, Gon wonders how he will get Hisoka's tag. While hanging upside down from a branch, he concludes that he can't steal Hisoka's tag head-on. He spots Q with a sword in a long, grassy area below. He then notices that there is another candidate, Pockle, behind the candidate he is targeting. Q is aware of someone's presence. Pockle aims his bow at Q. Q senses the attack and manages to dodge. However, it slices his arm, injuring him. Q tells Pockle that was close. Pockle stands up and Q warns him that he won't be so easy. He suddenly starts to lose control over his body and falls down, wondering what has happened. Pockle explains that the arrow was coated with a fast-acting tranquilizer and he won't be able to walk for the next week. But then he shouldn't worry since there's water nearby, so he won't die. He rummages through Q's backpack and collects his badge. Gon is amazed at how Poco masked his presence while stalking his prey. He now understands how to approach Hisoka. Gon grabs his fishing rod and jumps off the tree. He can steal Hisoka's plate with his rod. He practices with his fishing rod getting apples from wood logs in one swing. He knows he'll need to sneak up on Hisoka without him realizing, and then wait for the chance to get his badge. During this time, Gon is being watched by Garetta, his predator. He realizes he shouldn't forget that Hisoka will try to get out of the way of his attack. He decides to try to catch a bird by observing how it moves, or he'll never be able to catch Hisoka's tag. He tries the first time but fails. Meanwhile, Lirio walks through the dark forest, wondering whose number he has. Kurapika on a cliff, looking at the sunset, decides he should probably stay in one place. The next day has now arrived and we see Gon washing his face in the river. Gon realizes that there may be a moment when his opponent will target another and he will be able to intervene. He finally manages to catch a bird, which is about to catch a fish, is about to catch a fly. Gon is overjoyed. Loretta, who has been watching him, is surprised that he has actually mastered the art of hunting. However, his intense concentration will be his undoing. Gon notices that his hands are drenched in blood and blistered from practicing for 2 days straight. The scent of blood attracts hemotropic butterflies. Gon then recalls seeing Hisoka wounded on his shoulder from Trick Tower. He takes advantage of this by using the hemotropic butterflies to lead him to Hisoka's location. Gon finds Hisoka and sits quietly in bushes to hide his presence, waiting for the right opportunity to strike. Meanwhile, Lirio has a run-in with Tonpa. Tonpa is collaborating with so many steel badges. However, Kurapika halts Tonpa and they proceed to tie him up and leave him a random rock with a sign behind him, reading, "Please do not feed." He soon catches Somi and his pet monkey too. Lirio receives his badge back and Kurapika takes Tonpa's badge, having a total of 6 points to clear the 4th phase. At the break of dawn, Hisoka senses someone nearby in the bushes and he proceeds to walk toward them. Gon thinks that Hisoka notices him, but it turns out to be Gauze. Gauze challenges Hisoka to a duel, allowing Gon an opportunity to strike while Hisoka is attacking his prey. Gauze relentlessly attacks while Hisoka dodges effortlessly. Gauze collapses from a fatal wound he received before confronting Hisoka. Hisoka knows Gauze wanted to die in battle, but even so, he still refuses to fight him because in Hisoka's eyes Gauze is already dead. Gauze in rage bolts towards Hisoka, but out of nowhere he's struck down by Gitarakur's needles, instantly killing him. Gitarakur removes the pins from his face, morphing into another one, and is revealed to be a comrade of Hisoka. He gives Hisoka another's badge and has 6 points of his own to pass the 4th phase. He digs a hole and decides to sleep in it until the final day. On the evening of the 2nd day, Hisoka begins to search for his target and comes across Lirio and Kurapika, hiding in the bushes still stalking Hisoka. Gon awaits when he can attack. Unnoticed by Gon, however, Hisoka has found his own prey in Kurapika and Lirio. He runs after Hisoka as he was confused about whether to help them or stick to his plan to steal Hisoka's tag. He quickly picks the more honorable choice, helping his friends if needed. Hisoka greets them, leaning on a tree. He asks for their badges, meeting 2 points, and Lirio quickly refuses. Kurapika figures that they must not be his target, so he begins to negotiate. He tells Hisoka the badges he has, but neither is helpful, filling the air with more and more tension. Gon awaits nearby, eavesdropping on the conversation. Kurapika offers the badge that has no meaning to him, and if that still is not enough, he challenges Hisoka to take the others by force. Hisoka merely laughs at their feeble threat and accepts the initial deal. Kurapika leaves the badge in a tree and leaves with Lirio. Gon sits frozen behind a tree still, ripping onto his fishing rod and sweating. Hisoka comments to himself he is happy about their progression, but they still have much to learn. Gon becomes anxious at the thought of the next person Hisoka meets, not fighting either when suddenly, Hisoka's killing intent drastically increases. It frightens the nearby animals and Gon is afraid. Hisoka's bloodlust has risen to a point that must be satisfied. The next day after Hisoka hunts his next victim, Gon begins to follow once again. He believes whoever Hisoka runs into next will be attacked, no matter what, so he runs ahead to find them. He spots Agon heading in the opposite direction of Hisoka and picks a vantage point. His nerves begin to sway as his heart beats out of his chest. He knows he must completely hide his presence while taking deep breaths. Just then Hisoka stops, sensing someone. It is Agon. He dashes forward, an insane look on his face. Agon sees Hisoka almost too late and draws his sword. Gon readies his fishing rod, anticipating the attack. Hisoka takes out one of his cards and shouts a chilling scream. Gohan wins back his fishing rod and lets it loose. Agon thrusts forward with his sword, missing Hisoka's head by inches. Hisoka is so entranced by the thought of killing Agon. Gon's fishing hook is able to catch onto his tag. Hisoka notices too late the tag has been reeled in. Hisoka and Agon stand after the instantaneous exchange. Agon falls dead to the ground, while Hisoka has already moved on to the matter of his tag. Gon stands up and catches the tag, which lands perfectly in his hand. Unfortunately, Hisoka sees this and looks as stunned as Gon does. Instead of being upset though, Hisoka smiles. Gon rushes off from the spot, trying to get as far as possible from Hisoka before he can truly celebrate. He loses control of his body, paralyzed, and collapses to the ground. Jareta appears, telling Gon how many times he could have killed him. Jareta amends Gon for his concentration while training with his fishing rod, but adds how open he was for the attack. He mentions Gon was so focused on Hisoka, he didn't check his own surroundings. He takes both Hisoka and Gon's tags and leaves. Gon is left alone with his shame of losing. Not a moment later, Jareta falls dead next to Gon. Hisoka stands over him with a smile on his face, expressing how impressed he is with Gon's ability to hide his presence, his timing, and attack. He drops Gon's and his own tags, giving giving them back to Gon for a job well done. Jiraiya was Hisoka's target, so he no longer needs his. But Gon doesn't want Hisoka tag in this way. Remarkably, Gon is able to stand with a paralyzing drug that lasts 10 days for normal people. He tells Hisoka to take his tag back, but Hisoka refuses, keeping Gon alive, so one day he can kill Gon when he's more experienced. Hisoka hits Gon with a ferocious punch to the face and says he'll take his tag back once Gon can do the same to him. He walks off, leaving Gon. Later that night, Gon sits alone in a tree, having won but also lost. The story continues as Killua calling out Amori, who's been stalking him for a long time to show himself since he won't give an opening attack. However, Amori remains still and continues to hide, because he plans to attack Killua while he is asleep. Impatient Killua decides to come over to him and frighten Amori. Suddenly, Amori and Yumori appear to see if their youngest brother has finished taking the badge. Upon seeing that Amori hasn't beaten up Killua yet, they yell at him and force him to do it. Afterward, Amori approaches Killua. He asks Killua to give his badge and he won't hurt him if he does. Killua replies by insulting him. Amori then kicks him and sends him flying backward. However, Killua gets up quickly and takes out Amori's badge from his pocket, realizing that he is not his target. He asks the older brothers if his target is one of them. Amori and Yumori realize that they are not dealing with an ordinary kid. They tell the youngest brother to get information. Meanwhile, Hanzo is seen watching from the shadows that a fight is about to start. Killua flies and suddenly appears behind Amori, taking him hostage. Upon realizing that Amori is not his target, he asks Yumori to hand over his badge. After he receives it, he throws the other badges hundreds of feet away. Then he bids farewell and vanishes. Hanzo quickly runs for the badge that Killua threw and grabs it, but he ends up having the wrong badge since Killua noticed he was there and quickly swapped the badges before he threw it. Meanwhile, Kurapika and Lirio are seen behind the bushes. They are trying to see if anyone is back at the starting point to catch. Gon suddenly shows up and Lirio explains that they are looking for examinee number 246, Ponzu. Gon offers his help to find her by following her scent since she is known for using drugs that must have a strong odor. After walking for a long time, they finally reach her location. Lirio decides to enter the cave alone, while Gon and Kurapika wait outside. Inside the cave, he meets Bourbon and Ponzu from the outside. Gon and Kurapika hear Lirio's voice, and they instantly run into the cave to find Lirio sprawled on the ground with snake bites all over his body. Ponzu explains that they cannot leave the cave because Bourbon had already set a trap. When someone tries to exit, his snakes will attack them. Ponzu reveals that she had already killed Bourbon, meaning they are all trapped inside the cave. Kurapika figures out how Bourbon died by looking at his wounds. Ponzu's target was Bourbon and she explains their fight involving her bees. Ponzu gives up on her desire for passing the exam and waits for the examiners to rescue her through a tracking device attached to their badges to find their exact locations. However, the three can't afford to wait for the exam to end as poison runs through Lirio's body due to the snake's bite. Gon decides to fearlessly sacrifice himself in order to search Bourbon to find an antidote. Snakes from Bourbon surround him and attack him, but he successfully finds the medicine. Due to Gon's courageous act, both he and Lirio are saved. Gon recovers quickly and asks Ponzu about her sleeping gas to make all the snakes sleep so they can escape the cave. He requests a trade with Bourbon's badge, which he got along with the medicine, in exchange for her sleeping gas. Ponzu agrees, but it will take 5 minutes for all the snakes to fall asleep, stating someone can't hold their breath for more than 5 minutes. However, Gon brags about his record. The gas is released and Gon holds his breath to stay awake. Gon carries all three of them outside and successfully escapes the cave. He gives Bourbon's badge to Ponzu, but takes her own badge for a service fee while she is still unconscious, as Kurapika, Lirio, and Gon each has 6 points of their own and the 4th phase of the Hunter exam ends. All the participants who pass are taken to their next destination. The chairman, along with all the examiners, discuss the final phase of the exam, and the chairman wanted them to go through a peculiar fight. But before that, the chairman interviews each examinee and asks them who they want to fight and who they would not want to fight. Each of them gives an answer, and after the interview, the chairman reveals the bracket to the examiners and tells them that a single win will make the applicants a hunter. The 9 remaining applicants arrive at the final phase, where the exam is held. The chairman explains to them that in order to pass, they only need 1 win and the losers will move up the bracket until 1 applicant fails. This way there will be 8 new hunters and 1 that will not pass. After the chairman completes his explanation about their performances and the rules for winning, the final phase begins. The first match was between Gon and Hanzo. As soon as the fight starts, Gon makes his move, but Hanzo anticipates it, and Gon is staggered by his hit. Hanzo tells Gon about his situation and asks him to give up, but Gon refuses, as Hanzo continues to strike him. He tries to convince Gon again to surrender, but Gon was still determined to keep up with the fight while Hanzo continues to strike. Lirio was beginning to lose his temper, and warns Hanzo he'll kill him and will take Gon's place instead. However, because of the rules, Hanzo is not doing anything wrong and Gon will be the one disqualified if Lirio interferes. Gon refuses to give up, leaving Hanzo no other choice but to break his arm, making Lirio and Kurapika enraged. Gon soon gathers the strength to kick Hanzo in the face. However, Hanzo recovers and pulls out a sharp weapon from his sleeve and warns Gon that he'll cut his legs off if he doesn't surrender. But Gon tries to outsmart him by saying that it will be disadvantageous for both of them as Gon will die due to excessive bleeding, thus disqualifying Hanzo. But Hanzo outsmarts him by responding that therefore he just needs to apply again next year. Hanzo gets serious and tells Gon that he will kill him and will just take the exam next year as he stabs Gon in the forehead. Gon speaks about his father that he is a hunter and one day he will find him, but if he gives up now, he may never find him. On seeing the unwavering determination in Gon's eyes, Hanzo concedes defeat, making Gon the winner of their match. However, Gon refuses to accept the way he won and keeps pestering Hanzo about his decision. Out of other annoyance, Hanzo delivers a hard punch, knocking Gon unconscious. Gon is the first applicant to pass the 287 Hunter exam. Gon awakes from sleep with Sadats sitting beside his bed. Sadats congratulates Gon on passing the Hunter exam through a handshake, but Gon is not content with the results and declines. Sadats explains to him that he already passed the exam and can no longer fail. He presents the Hunter's license, adding that whatever he wants to do with it, it's up to him and his decision. After hearing this explanation, Gon accepts the Hunter's license and finally shakes Sadats' hand. Sadats tells Gon that the exam is over and tells him that the one who failed was Killua. Gon is eager to know the cause of Killua's failure, and Sadats tells him about all the matches held after his fight with Hanzo. After revealing the applicants who passed and held each match unfolded, Sadats tells Gon what happened in the match between Killua and Gitaraker. Learning that Gitaraker is actually his older brother Illumi, Killua was shocked as Illumi told him he was not fit to be a hunter, but an assassin. Killua told his brother that he doesn't care about having a license, and that he just wants to be friends with Gon. Upon hearing that Illumi intended to kill Gon, for he will only be a hindrance to Killua on his path to becoming a full-time assassin. Illumi then walked toward the exit to go to the room where Gon was resting. But Hanzo, Kurapika, and Lirio stood up in front of the door to stop Illumi. He approached his brother Kawa and asked if he wanted to continue the match. Killua surrendered, feeling inferior to his brother and the situation of his friend. After Illumi won, he told him that he was just lying about killing Gon. Afterward, the match between Otero and Lirio took place. Killua suddenly appeared behind Otero and killed him, resulting in his disqualification and failure of the exam. So, that's it for this video. If enjoyed, be sure to like the video. See you in the next video. Peace.